"Here, let me help you with that, missus," said the young man who had been sitting next to her, speaking in whispered, flirtatious tones to the girl next to me since we departed Liverpool Street. He stood and leaned forward, a breeze of perspiration, and gave the window a hefty pull. It opened with a jolt, allowing a rush of warm air and engine steam to spill inside. "My Bill's a dab hand with machinery," said the young woman, giggling with pride. "Leave it out, Margie," he said, smiling only a little as he sat down. "He fixed engines during the war, didn't you, Bill?" "I said leave it out, Margie," he repeated, colder now. And as he caught my eye, we considered each other for a moment before looking away. "It was just a window, dear," sniffed the lady novelist with impeccable timing. It struck me how it had taken over an hour for our three parties even to acknowledge each other's presence. It reminded me of the story of the two Englishmen, left alone on a deserted island together for 5 years after a shipwreck, who never exchanged a single word of conversation, as they had never been properly introduced. 20 minutes later, our train shifted into motion, and we were on our way, finally arriving in Norwich more than an hour and a half behind schedule. The young couple disembarked first, a flurry of hysterical impatience and rush me to our room giggles, and I helped the writer with her suitcase. "You're very kind," she remarked in a distracted fashion as she scanned the platform. "My driver should be here somewhere to help me the rest of the way." "It was a pleasure to meet you," I said, not trying for another handshake, but offering an awkward nod of the head instead, as if she were the queen and I a loyal subject. "I hope I didn't embarrass you earlier. I only meant that Mr. Pinton wishes we had writers of your calibre on our list." She smiled at this. "I am relevant," said her expression. "I matter." And then she was gone, uniformed driver in tow. But I remained where I was, surrounded by people rushing to and fro from their platforms, lost within their number, quite alone in the busy railway station. I emerged from the great stone walls of Thorpe Station into an unexpectedly bright afternoon, and found that the street where my lodgings were located, Recorder Road, was only a short walk away. Upon arriving, however, I was disappointed to find that my room was not quite ready. "Oh dear," said the landlady, a thin woman with a pale, scratchy complexion. She was trembling, I noticed, although it was not cold, and wringing her hands nervously. She was tall, too, the type of woman who stands out in the crowd for her unexpected stature. "I'm afraid we owe you an apology, Mr. Sadler. We've been at 6s and 7s all day. I don't quite know how to explain what's happened." "I did write, Mrs. Cantwell," I said, trying to soften the note of irritation that was creeping into my tone. "I said I would be here shortly after 5, and it's gone 6 now." I nodded in the direction of the grandfather clock that stood in the corner behind her desk. "I don't mean to be awkward, but—" "You're not being awkward at all, sir," she replied quickly. "The room should have been ready for you hours ago, only—" She trailed off, and her forehead wrinkled into a series of deep grooves as she bit her lip and turned away. She seemed unable to look me in the eye. "We had a bit of unpleasantness this morning, Mr. Sadler, that's the truth of it. In your room, or what was to be your room, that is. You probably won't want it now. I know I shouldn't. I don't know what I'll do with it, honestly I don't. It's not as if I can afford to leave it unlet." Her agitation was obvious, and despite my mind being more or less focused on my plans for the following day, I was concerned for her, and was about to ask whether there was anything I could do to help, when a door opened behind her, and she spun around. A boy of about 17 appeared, whom I took to be her son. He had a look of her around the eyes and mouth, although his complexion was worse, scarred as he was by the acne of his age. He stopped short, taking me in for a moment before turning to his mother in frustration. "Told you to call me when the gentleman arrived, didn't I?" he said, glaring at her. "But he's only just arrived this minute, David," she protested. "It's true," I said, feeling a curious urge to jump to her defence. "But I did." "But you didn't call me," he insisted to his mother. "What have you told him, anyway?" "I haven't told him anything yet," she said, turning back to me with an expression that suggested she might cry if she was bullied any longer. I didn't know what to say.